Qualifying for VA disability benefits as a veteran of the National Guard or Reserves isn't always as straightforward as it is for other veterans. The rules can be more complex, especially when it comes to proving how your condition is connected to service. That confusion can make it hard to know where to start. Today we're answering some of the most common questions about VA disability benefits for former National Guard and Reservists and what you need to know to get the benefits you've earned. Hi, my name is Andrew Kuhnholter, and I'm a VA disability attorney at Woods & Woods, a nationwide veterans law firm that has helped thousands of veterans and their families access VA disability benefits. I'm also a member of the Army National Guard. I joined right after deciding to go to law school in 2018 because I missed being part of a team and I wanted to challenge myself. The Guard has given me an opportunity for both. So I want a little bit of balance in my life as far as, the active versus sedentary. Also, the benefits did play a role in my decision as well. Since then, I've had all three of my kids on the TRICARE Reserve. When I read through files, it's not just words on a page. I think of guys that I knew or, situations that I've been in. I have some understanding of how important these grants are and some of these injuries and conditions that occurred during service, what that could have been like. And so I think that having that opportunity to serve veterans was just really important and honestly something that I really wanted to do. As you may know, National Guard and Reservists, they serve part-time. The line is typically 2 weeks in the summer and 1 weekend a month. But as we know, that's not normally how it turns out based on the needs of the unit and the training schedule and things like that. The big difference between National Guard and Reserve is that Reserves primarily perform federal missions, whereas National Guard, they have that state obligation as well where they can be activated for state missions, whether it's a natural disaster or whatever the needs of the state are. A veteran for purposes of VA disability is someone who has served on active duty and has a discharge that is other than dishonorable. That includes, under some circumstances, National Guard and Reserve members. And so for them, I look at it as your service can fall into three different primary buckets. The first bucket is if you're federalized for active duty overseas missions. So you're deployed for a year, Iraq, Afghanistan, or Africa, whatever it may be. Service connection for this type of duty would be the same as our active duty counterparts. So you need to show you have a current diagnosis of a disability, an in-service event or injury, and then a nexus between the in-service event and your current disability. The next bucket is your active duty for training, which happens at your initial entry into the military, most commonly. There can be other times when you go for military education, but for that type of service, you have to show that your injury or disability was incurred in the line of duty. And then the last one, the inactive duty for training. The most common type of inactive duty training is drill or IDT weekends. It can't be like something that happened outside of drill or whatever, and you just show up to drill and then you complain, oh, my knee hurts or whatever. Just because your knee hurts while you're on an active duty for training doesn't mean that that's going to be considered in the line of duty, because if you heard it prior to drill or whatever it may be. Like if you have reflux, so you develop that outside of service, not related at all, you show up to drill weekend and you still have reflux while you're at drill. Maybe it's severe enough that you go to the medic and you're like, I could use some antacids or whatever medicine, but that probably wouldn't rise to be considered as in the line of duty because it arose during your civilian time when you weren't on orders, and it has no relation to your duty that you're there for. A line of duty determination, or LOD, is a critical piece of evidence for VA disability claims for National Guard and Reserve service members. An LOD is an administrative determination made by the National Guard or Reserve unit after an official investigation to determine if an injury or illness was incurred or aggravated during qualified service in the line of duty. In an ideal world, when a Reserve or National Guard service member is injured while on a duty status, they would notify their chain of command and provide appropriate documentation. This in turn should trigger the unit to initiate an LOD investigation, which is then promptly and properly completed. However, this does not always happen. For many reasons, service members often don't report injuries or won't realize the severity of their injuries until they are no longer in a duty status. Sometimes an injury will be reported, but an LOD investigation will not be initiated. Generally, there'd be a report, but that's not always the case. As we know, the STRs aren't always going to show what they need to show. I think good evidence would be buddy or lay statements that attest to your injury that was incurred in the line of duty. So say if you hurt your back during PT, maybe statements from your buddies who were there who saw you, like if you were practicing for the ACFT or whatever and you're doing the deadlift and you strain your back, people just having those statements that say, yeah, I was there on that day and I saw him try to deadlift this weight, and he came up clutching his back and kind of walked away in pain, and then the rest of the drill weekend he was taking it easy, or whatever it may be. To learn more about lay statements, you can check the description. One question we get is whether you can collect VA disability benefits while serving in the Reserves or National Guard. There's several ways you could do it, but I would say that the most common is somebody was on active duty before and then they switched to the Guard or they switched to the Reserves, but in that intermediate time they applied for VA disability and they were granted 30 or 40% or whatever it may be, but they were still considered fit for service. It's important to know that if you are serving in the Reserves or the Guard while collecting VA disability benefits, your VA disability payments will be offset by your number of days of service. Whenever you get out of the military, I feel like it can be really daunting and intimidating to get out of one big organization and start a relationship with another big organization of the VA. I think that can be nerve-wracking and intimidating for a lot of people, especially when they were injured due to their military service. I feel like every vet knows someone who there's a decision or a denial that doesn't make sense, that doesn't feel right. And so hopefully we can explain some of that and help you understand maybe why your VA claim was denied or how to move forward. You can learn more about VA benefits for Reservist and National Guard members by following the links in the description box of this video. If you have more questions about VA benefits in general, watch some of the other videos on our YouTube channel. You can also leave your questions in the comment section below. If you're wondering if you qualify for a 100% rating or TDIU, contact Woods & Woods for a free consultation. Click on the contact page in the description below this video or call us at the number on your screen.